I don't know how many knives Macg plunged into my back, but his lungs will count them when I return them to sender, Parktown vendor. Seems like Macg has created an even bigger monster than he thought.
What do you think is going on with our boy Nota? But I think we have Podcast and Chill to blame for what Nota has become.
I mean, no disrespect to anyone I'm about to talk about in this video. This video is strictly for educational or entertainment purposes. Everything I'm about to say is information that I have found on the internet and have compiled it into one video. It was on the 4th of April 2020 when Macg introduced Ntlamulo Baloyi, popularly known as Nota, to his chillers. It was episode 140, titled Artist Managers. Nota was there as Questa's manager alongside Pindile, whom was managing Nadia Nakai at the time, and Siamo, that managed AKA at the time. Nota would go on to sell himself very well to the Podcast and Chill chillers by being very informed about the music industry. Another thing he would be very well informed about were the artists of the two managers he was with on the podcast, to the point that it came across as though he was trying to take away the spotlights from them, as well as the host of the podcast, which is Macg.
Is this podcast with Nota or with Macg?
This is Nota's podcast. Chillers flooded the comment section about how much they loved this episode, how informative it was, and that Macg must bring Nota back again, but alone this time. And since Macg always listens to his chillers, he did exactly that 5 months later on a 2-part episode, which was episode 188 that aired on the 24th and the 25th of September 2020, and both episodes durated at 1 hour plus each. The views skyrocketed with this particular interview, reaching 280k plus views on the first part and close to 150k views on the second part, which was unheard of from any South African podcast, especially one that had less than 100,000 subscribers. Just like Nota's first appearance on the Podcast and Chill, chillers raved about how genius his mind was when it came to the music industry and just information in general. 7 months later, on the 19th of April 2021, a whole year had gone by since the chillers were formally introduced to Nota, and he would yet again make an appearance. By this time, he was no longer just a guest, but basically family. Soul Penduga had also now joined the cast, and Podcast and Chill was celebrating the YouTube plague for reaching 100,000 subscribers. It was episode 242, and just like any other episode that Nota was in, the views did crazy numbers, close to 350k to be exact. But this would mark itself as the last time we would ever get to see Nota Baloyi on any Podcast and Chill with Macg episode. June 15th, 2022, it was reported that Solomzi Penduga had bagged himself a gig at a radio station called Kaya FM, and he will be starting in the July of the same year. Speculations about him possibly leaving Podcast and Chill rised, and people started calling him a traitor. A Twitter space was opened up by Musa Kawula, if I am not mistaken, and Nota would go on to say vile things about Soul Penduga, just because he had accepted a deal from what it is presumed to be Macg's competition, which is commercial radio. This issue was addressed on episode 367 of the Podcast and Chill, which aired on the 7th of July 2022. Sol Penduga spoke briefly about this issue, and this is where Macg mentions how he believed that the podcast and chill had created a monster. This would be the last time Nota's name would be mentioned on the podcast.
I think we have podcast and chill to blame for what Nota has become. You see, the thing called fame, it's a drug. Here you have a guy, Nota, who's made people famous before, but he's never had the taste of fame. So he comes on this platform, and you know what happens when you come on this platform. Literally overnight, you're a sensation. So I had him on my podcast, and he's never had that much interaction or eyeballs on him. And that's a drug, my dog. Since then, I feel like he's always trying to get to that high by saying outlandish things and just saying shit for the sake of saying shit.
You know what?
Like cloud chasing, you know what I mean? Because like this is a type of guy who got a taste of fame, a taste of attention, and now was willing to get it at any cost, whether it's good attention or bad attention.
So Lomzi Penduga decided to break his silence on Kaya 959 Breakfast Show debacle and his true feelings towards Nota on another podcast called Nkululeko Culture.
I announced that I'll be joining Kaya FM. Now you're gonna turn around and say that's what Macg gets for employing a fucking loser, a serial loser who can never be fucking trusted. I was like, damn, is that how you felt about me all the time? From my end, I don't rate him, and fuck Nota.
This interview would send Nota into a frenzy and go on to tweet. Sol is a backstabber. He stabbed Macg in the back only for it to backfire on him because Dineo is the boss from hell. It's her show and he reads the traffic. Things seemed to have calmed down for a while and life went on as normal until Macg decided to invite Berita to the Podcast and Chill episode 445 for an interview as well as a mini performance. This drove Nota crazy, and I guess it's safe to say that all bridges have been burnt.